Hello and happiest of days to you folks. I hope you guys are having an absolutely amazingly awesome day today. So today for the top 10, where I normally do top 10s of various things on Friday. I've done things like novels and short stories and that sort of a thing recently. Although this really got started with some top 10 Cthulhu Mythos stuff before I moved into my top 10s of like movies, like science fiction, fantasy, horror, and that sort of a thing too, or TV shows. So you can check out that stuff too. I thought it would be nice for me to head back to basics, right? Recently I did my top 10, actually my top 70, in 7 back-to-backs, short stories for you folks about time. And so I thought it would be nice for me to give you my top 10 HP Lovecraft short stories for you folks. Now, as a reminder, after I discovered him in college, HP Lovecraft became my favorite author. So, in order to make this list, he needs to be my just a solo author, right? There are some things out there that he might have co-wrote or something like that, or edited that are great too, and wouldn't. Well, this is the Russia's heads up for you folks. Now he lived in the pulp era with the Cthulhu Mythos near the end of his career, and that sort of a thing. Do it. So the 3-volume collection of all of his prose that he wrote that I read. His first one was on his horror stuff. He settled on his middle era fantasy stuff set in the Dreamlands, and then the last one are sort of that sort of conclusion, right? So there are a few here in the early era, but there aren't that many. Most of these are in his later in the last 10 years of his life sometime, and sometimes even his last 8 or 7 or 6, right? That's sort of the thing to hit in the 30s. Back when I feel like he sort of developed his craft. Now, I did think about adding some from the Dreamlands. Just a heads up, back up and find it. But we'll get you taken care of. All right, so number 10 is The Music of Erich Zann. It's from 1921. It's great. It's got this creepy atmosphere and that sort of a thing too. I think it's one of his better early works, that sort of a thing too. But so I think it's good stuff. I love the vibe. I love the character too. Number 9 is The Whisperer in Darkness. This is a Cthulhu Mythos short story from the first generation when he was, and this is from 1930. So basically, what's happening in here in New England, we have folks that are getting taken care of, and we'll find out that there are visitors here from the stars, and we'll have that in this sort of a darker cosmic horror place. Right now, I think it's good stuff. So number 8 is Cool Air. One I just actually went back and reread for you folks and reviewed it to the show. So here in Cool Air in 1929, this is set back when he was living in New York, and he feels a little he sort of was really against a lot of these local immigrants and that sort of a thing to see here with this poor author. So it feels a little autobiographical. Here we have a poor author living in the cheapest place they could. And the landlady speaks a lot of Spanish, not a lot of English, and that sort of a thing too. But it's the cheapest place he could find in the room, and he'll actually meet and make good friends with this older scientist who has that sort of a medical condition that requires cool air to be constantly pumping through. And remember, this is written back before air conditioning was a thing. All right, number 7 is my favorite early era Lovecraft short story, and this is The Rats in the Walls. It's from 1920. For you folks, so basically what's happening here in this short story is more of a Poe-esque prose, and that sort of a thing too. He enters in, has some nice stuff happening, and that sort of a thing too. You've got great descriptions, great things, right, and that sort of a thing too. But as he heads up, there are some languages in here that might be a little bit of a warning, like the N-word is used a few times. And the name of his cat also has a similar issues. Number 6 is the top scoring non-Cthulhu Mythos short story. And since this was written a little later on in his career, right about when he was getting started, I think that's great. And so this is Pickman's model for folks from 1927. So I think Pickman's model is set in New England, a city. Basically, we have a person who, Pickman is a famous artist there. In the city, it's a little dark and twisted stuff, and he has a big fan. Man finds him, they get in charge of talking out, and now he wants to find out where he gets his source from his great art that he's a big fan of. That's really sick and twisted too, and that sort of thing too. Now, and when he finds out, it's just an absolute classic. The ending here, one of the best endings in any horror short story ever. Right. Number 5 is The Hunter of the Dark from 1936. This would have been my 6th favorite short story in the Cthulhu Mythos by anybody. I think this is one of his. It was written later on in his career. It's great stuff. Love it lots. This is set in Providence, HP Lovecraft's hometown at that time. You have somebody who is seeing some stuff that's happening at night. He's kind of brought in. We'll introduce some elements like the shining trapezion and stuff like it too. This is actually a sequel to something I think it was written by Block. It might be somebody else, but I think it was Block. There's also writing at the time too. And so this main character feels a little Block-esque, right? And that sort of thing too. But what happens here, the details of Providence while he's living there, I think it's great stuff, lots. And that is The Hunter of the Dark for you, folks. And number 4 is At the Mountains of Madness. This is 1936. This is more of a novella, just a heads up, not short story, but I'm sure you'll be fine with it. As long as it's not a novel or a short or a poem, I think you guys will be fine with it. This is written in 36. This has Lovecraft visiting the Antarctic with a strong Antarctic mission by Miskatonic University, which is a fictional place in Arkham that he has as part of his overall cosmic horror mythos. But it's great. I love what's happening here. I love the descriptions. I love the ending. It's good stuff. I love it lots. Now, number 3 is the one that you probably expect to hit number 1 because it put them on the map. It's kept them on the map in a major way, but I don't think it's the best short story. So number 3 is, again, the Call of Cthulhu for you folks. It's from 1928. It put them on the map in a major way, and it's kept them on the map in a major way too, and that sort of a thing too. And so this introduces the character of Cthulhu that is part of the Cthulhu mythos and is remembered for today. And this sort of really puts that in the map. Basically, what is happening here is that we have it's set in. We have some folks that are doing some research into some bas reliefs and that sort of a thing too, and then they see that there are some people that are dreaming and that sort of a thing currently, and they are able to check out and see that there are also some of these issues that are happening down in New Orleans with some locals. I think it's in Greenland with some locals too, and then they start to do some tracking, and we'll figure out that they are actually all around the world. For you folks, and that Cthulhu is rising from the deeps, and that sort of thing too. There's actually a couplet from Al Hazard as Necronomicon that was introduced a few short stories ago, but this puts them on the map in a major way, all about that. And I don't know if I remember correctly, it was something like but the basic idea is that just because they sleep doesn't mean they're dead, so they will rise again, right? So there you are. And so now number 2 is something I absolutely adore. For you folks, this is The Color Out of Space. It's from a few months earlier, 1927. So The Color Out of Space is an absolute classic. I love it, lots of strong stuff. It's my second favorite Cthulhu Mythos short story from this era. It's my second favorite Lovecraft short story from me. And that sort of thing too. Sorry. I was so focused on talking that I forgot the band. Sorry about that. Yeah, here in The Color Out of Space. So basically, what's happening here is that a meteorite has fallen in New England, and this actually doesn't have any major sort of Cthulhu mythos stuff other than the fact that it's set there. But basically, a meteorite has fallen, and there is a research thing that is sent from Miskatonic and local people too that are trying to check out and see what's happening. And starts to sort of decay of lots. And basically, but again, what's happening there for your folks is great. I think there's a great descriptions, great world building, and this idea of this color that is just not natural to our sort of tainting things a little bit. I think it's very, very gripping. Right, and then also next we would have here too, hitting number 1 is my favorite short story by lots of folks, and this is back to a novella. Sorry, The Shadow over Innsmouth, and this is from 1936. So this is a long short story for you folks. Basically, this introduces the deep ones. This introduces a lot of great stuff. Builds on the world mapping. It's set in the CD waterfront town of the title of Innsmouth for your folks. And basically, our protagonist has family in the area. So he starts to investigate, right, and swing by, see what's happening for you folks from this in the CD town. That sort of a thing too. It's broken down, right? And it's sort of a thing too. And as he finds out more and more about the town, the worse and worse things feel for him. Actually, there is about mid-chapter, there is a combat scene, and it happens, and it's creepy, it's strong, it is just so well done, love it lots. And so if you haven't checked that out, it's one of my favorite combat scenes or action scenes in anything ever. Love it a lot so much. For you folks, that's the show over as well from 36. More of a novella, sorry. But it's an absolutely classic. Love it lots. And so once again, here are my top 10 HP Lovecraft short stories. So number 10 is The Music of Erich Zann from 30, and then 21, The Whisper in Darkness. It's number 9 from 30. Number 8 is Cool Air from 29. From number 7 is The Rats in the Walls from 23. Number 6 is Pickman's Model from 27. Number 5 is The Haunter of the Dark from 36. Number 4 is At the Mountains of Madness from 36 too. Number 3 is The Call of Cthulhu from 28. And then number 2 is The Color of the Space from 27. Finally, we have The Shadow over Innsmouth hitting number 1 at 36 for you folks. So there you go. Those are my top 10 short stories by H.P. Lovecraft of all time, or novellas in some cases. Maybe one or two of them might actually be novelettes, whatever. As long as it's prose, I don't think I'm going to get any pushback in the comments below for you. Folks, what did you think? What are your top 10s? I'd be happy to sort of engage you with it further, whatever your comments below, and have those conversations with you for you folks. As a reminder, I'm not a trained critic, right? I didn't study English in college or literature, right? And I don't do it as a profession either, right? All up and down the blocks for you folks. I'm just a fan like you are, right? Just as a heads up. So I'm not coming to you from a place of expertise. So just let me know what your thoughts are. Have you read these? Would you put them in this order? What did you think about them? What are your top 10s? Let me know what your thoughts are. All up and down the block for you folks. Happy to sort of engage you with it further, but whatever your thoughts are. That sort of a thing too. All right. So, and as I also do some other reviews on some Wednesday. I do older video game reviews, or sometimes more recent ones. I just did my Jurassic World 2 Evolution. So you can check that out too from 4 years ago. And then I've also done on Saturdays, I dedicate to serials where I go over the lost and forgotten sort of storytelling genres, oftentimes when this was happening, right? So you can check that out. Also Monday, I do reviews of older tabletop or RPGs or war games too, like Dungeons and Dragons. You can check out that stuff too, or just do 3 reviews a week, right, of the older things like Lovecraft in this era too, of that you read in the science fiction, fantasy, horror genres too, right, all up and down the block for you folks. All right, and so hopefully some of those things will hit you where you are, and you'll be helping out. Have a day for you folks. But if not, no pressures. I'm not going to pressure you to do anything, right? But otherwise, do all the YouTube stuff you wouldn't mind, and then and then let your friends know too. And then also, after that, I want to, as you can tell from all those 7 older things, finding these things is definitely it's just a passion, right, of this channel for folks. Right, it's even where its name even came from too. The worst thing about new books. That's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who says that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old stuff, right? And not that the new stuff is bad by default, right? It's not. But in our passion, right, for the new, we sometimes have forgotten that these things are standing on the shoulders of giants. So let's check out those giants. Not that they're bad by default, but you get the idea, right? And people like HP Lovecraft, heavily influential on modern horror and other stuff too. So check it out. Alrighty, I want to thank you so very, very much for just taking some time out of your day and even investing it, right, and watching my videos, because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives, right, and we're pulled in so many different directions too. So if you spend this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate that so very, very much. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.